Hey there guys, this is just a quick little video here. I wanted to showcase my tactic for the game 2048. This is actual speed right now. All I'm doing for quite a while is going to swipe down, right, down, right, down, right. I'm going to ignore left and up directions. I'm not even looking at what tiles are there. But all it's going to be functionally doing is grouping the higher rated tiles in the lower right corner and surrounding them with other value tiles. Every now and again it becomes functionally redundant, so you have to do a quick left-right swipe to reset an extra tile on the board, and that becomes available. And sometimes you can see there, you just have to swipe to the left, and that will group a bunch of tiles above their matching tile below, where you can then swipe down into the into a pair, basically. So now I've sped up the video to double speed. So yeah, like I say, the technique of down right fills up a lot of the board in that bottom right hand corner, those 9 squares in particular. What I'm aiming to do is I'm going to use that left column coming downwards into where that 8 is right now, and then along the bottom, and I'm going to gradually put in the highest number I can without making a match to the one to the right of it, or at first below it. So that I'm setting up a chain. As you can see here, that 64 will eventually become a 128, which will then match the one next to it, which will then match into the 256, and so on and so forth. And then you just start again. It's not a very long process. Like I say, in fact, this entire run, even though I ran into a few complications because I was paying attention to something else with the computer to record this, it only took me about 10 minutes. So yeah, it doesn't make it very difficult. Since I've been using this technique, it's incredibly rare that I don't actually succeed in getting a 2048. Every now and again, because of the random imprint of the adding of new tiles, yeah, I'll run into a problem. But like I say, that is very rare. And despite what the description at the top says, I have managed 4096, just not on my iPad, which is what I'm using to record this on. So yeah, like I say, once I've filled up the bottom row with numbers that won't slide and match, it then becomes a case of more down left, down left, down left instead, because you're wanting to make the one above that, what is now the 32 in the lowest point. You're wanting to make that tile the next one down to then match in until eventually you can then run across the entire chain. And what you will find is that you will be able to make one long chain going along the bottom. And here's an example I mentioned. I didn't even realize right now that there was an 8 there in between my 64 and 1024 because I was so focusing on the rest of the stuff. So I've had to change directions now and kind of go around it. Hopefully you shouldn't run into that problem if you actually are paying attention, so I won't explain exactly the process involved in that, but it's just very similar, just using a different direction. So yeah, I've made this video because I see a lot of them where they're just like, oh, you've got to make chains, you've got to make chains, you've got to make chains, but I don't explain how, and that's not exactly very helpful. One thing that will happen a lot to me here is every time I got within the reaching distance of the next chain to be able to make up, it input the lowest rate tile directly in a position where I wanted to put the neighbouring high tile. Sometimes you can avoid that once it gets to a position where, say, that 32 wasn't a 32, well, indeed now, but before we slid the 16 where that is now into the 16 down below, before we did that, if I'd have swiped right a couple of times to make sure that the top left and the one below it, that 4 and 8 it changes too quickly right now, if I made sure they were empty before I swiped down to match the two 16s, then the chances are where the uppermost 16 vanishes because it merges in with the 16 below, it won't fill in with a 2 in that position. Sometimes it will, but in my experience I found that sometimes helps. Is you just quickly swipe right, even though you want to swipe down to match them up as quickly as possible. Swiping right, if you've got that that second row up full, of course. Once those 2 squares above what is now the 32 are empty, then you can do that and swipe down, and it won't fill in the space where you will then want that neighbouring what is now an 8, a 16. You're about to want to put that in left to then match up with what is you've just made into the bottom. So that will sometimes help. And as you can see here, we've got quite a lengthy chain going along that bottom there. Unfortunately, we couldn't add straight away that 128 in, but now as soon as we get up to the 128, it's done. We would just have to swipe right repeatedly to connect up, and as you will see, in not too long an amount of time from here on in. Like I say, during this run I did run into some complications because of the fact that I wasn't able to focus exactly on the game itself. I had the rest of the recording equipment to pay attention to, but it's just a straight shot in. That's 16 to the 32. There you go, 632, 128, 256, 2048. Sorry. Here's my favourite version of the game to play. There's a link in the description if you'd like to go play it yourself. Instead of tiles 2, 4, 8, etc., etc., you've got images of all the actors who have played Doctor Who over the years in the canonical continuation of the story, except for John Hurt, and of course excluding Peter Cushing from those disastrous TV Dalek movies. So yeah, instead of a 2 tile, you've got William Hartnell, Patrick Troughton on 4, then John Pertwee, Tom Baker, Peter Davison, Colin Baker, Sylvester McCoy, Paul McGann, Christopher Eccleston, David Tennant, and Matt Smith. Enjoy it as much as I do.